Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you've been enjoying the expo so far. So thank you for making time for this session. In fact, this is one session I've been looking forward to great extent, personally. I've known Neeraj for many years. We've had the good fortune of actually studying together at one point. And so in that sense, I've spent a good 2 years of my life studying in the same institute with Neeraj. So it's been a pleasure to kind of know him so well. And when I was thinking of having a good industry speaker, or inviting a good industry speaker for this session, Neeraj was immediately someone who came to mind. Simply because he's just so passionate about what he's doing. He's an expert in his domain. He's worked in multiple roles at multiple levels. So having worked for so many years now, over 18, 19 years, he's had the opportunity of working at the entry level, at the mid level, and now more at the senior level. So he's worked with organizations like Wipro, Subex. In his current capacity, he is looking at technology and product marketing with EY technology. He's working with a really dynamic team. And in fact, we were having a conversation a few days ago, and he was saying how EY technology is actually picking up a lot of awards for the kind of projects that they're implementing. So it's really interesting that the kind of work they're doing. And when I was speaking to Neeraj, I said, listen, we really need a session where someone from the industry can come and tell students that if you want to succeed in the industry, if you see yourself as a future leader, what are some of those personalities? What are some of those traits that you need? What are some of the mindset or the skills that you need to succeed? And he said, yes, I agree with you. There's a need to kind of share this information with students. And he volunteered to make time for this. So thank you, Neeraj. Really appreciate you making time on a Sunday. Over to you, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible? Okay, thanks. First of all, thanks a lot, Amzi. I mean, although his name is Amit, we fondly used to call him Amzi, as you know that we studied together. So thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity. Really appreciate that, and also your other colleagues from this event. So this is really great setup. I wish when we were studying, we would have had this kind of opportunity. So really appreciate the team, the work that your team has been doing. This really great work. And good afternoon, everyone. I think Amzi has just introduced myself. I'm not going over there. I'm here just to share some of my experiences with you, because believe me, I mean, few years ago even I was sitting on this side. So it is always very good to be on this side. Also, think about my this particular session actually has helped me to go into the memory lane. And just remind me my student life, what I have done, what fun we used to have together, and this is really great. And I like to congratulate each one of you to choose the STEM career, because believe me, I mean, the opportunities are limitless. There is no limit to it in any technology. I mean, cloud technology or RPA or DevOps. Decision science or statistical analysis, AI, ML, anything if you call. I mean, there are multiple such opportunities. I don't want to touch base upon that, because I'm sure you are expert in each of these technologies, whatever you career that you have chosen. What I would like to touch base upon some of these traits, and with the interest of time, I would just talk about some 4 or 5 different traits that techies needs to have. I mean, I'm going to use this word techie, because STEM, again, there are a lot of connotation to it, but let's use this word techie or technology. So when I say that, it is nothing but the entire STEM community, right? So the first thing is about having this business acumen, because what I have seen, especially in the early stage of career of any technologies, they are so much attached to their own technology that they are developing, be it RPA or AI or whatever. They think that this is my life. I mean, of course, that is going to be your life, and that is how the things are. But I think you somewhere you need to pick up some of the business acumen. I mean, you need to ask the question, whatever the code that I am developing, or whatever the product that I am developing, or whatever solution, platform, whatever that I am developing, how it is getting used, how it is getting sold. Those things, I'm not saying that you need to have like an in-depth knowledge of that. Even if it is a superficial knowledge, that is absolutely fine, because we can't be the expert of all. But at least you need to know some of these things. If you want to know more, then obviously why not about pricing, how it is sold, how the pricing is done. Some of these things I think you need to ask yourself how it is going to help you, because when you progress into your career, let's say if you have worked as a software engineer, then you become like a architect, you have spent like 10-12 years, and then if you think that, okay, I know enough of all these technologies, and anyways, every 3 years the technologies are changing, I need to be on top of these technologies, and it is enough of me. Then you can, if you have the knowledge of these other functions, then you can definitely think of secondment. I mean, that is what we call secondment. Is nothing but how you can make your career shift into some different area. I mean, there are people who move from pure play technology or architecture into product management. Sometimes when product management people come to product marketing, then there are few people, even the sales guys, do the product management. Why it is possible? Because they always equip themselves with the new skills or new functionalities that exist. So the entire thing over there is try to get some business acumen. The another most important thing is how will you get that. One important thing is you need to have very good interpersonal skills, as well as the relationship making with your other colleagues. Because see, when you work in or when you study, I'm sure you must be studying in isolation, as well as you must be doing some group study. I'm not sure about that, but when it comes to the corporate world, it is not an individual, or it is not just one function. All the different functions, like you have HR, you have marketing, you have sales, you have pre-sales, solutioning. All these guys come together, and then they fulfill the requirements of clients, right? So you need to have very good interpersonal skills. How these departments function, and for that matter, you need to have a very collaborative attitude and aptitude, so that you can work with all these functions together. And as I said earlier, if you want to make secondment, then definitely you can think about shifting the gear, and then go to some other work stream altogether. And that is where the second trait is about learning, and that's to have the lifelong learnability. That is very important. I mean, as a techie, that every 2 to 3 years the new technologies are emerging. When we were talking about cloud some year ago, then all of a sudden AI ML wave hit us. Now we are talking about metaverse. I mean, there was always AR and VR was always there, but now we are talking about metaverse. So, and you can see that how things are progressing so fast. So how will you keep the pace of these technologies? And that's where the learning comes very handy. And when I say learning, it is in the both sense. It is. I mean, there are now these online different courses that are available, so you can definitely take that. But at the same time, you should also develop the attitude where you can learn from a particular incident or a particular interaction, because these are some of these things that you can pick up. When you're talking to any of your colleague or any of your senior, when you join any corporate world, sometimes they give a lot of insights which you are not even aware of, and you need to pick up those things. So just keep your eyes and ear open, and have this learning attitude. And that is when I want to go to the next trait, which is nothing but adopting this growth mindset. Now, what is growth mindset? We'll just go a little bit deeper into it. There are two different kind of a mindset. One is a growth mindset. One is a fixed mindset. Many a times, we have, and I will narrate one incident which happened with me. Because again, nobody is perfect. I'm also not perfect. I'm also learning. So there is a fixed mindset, where we try to prove our abilities. Okay, so I'm a good software engineer. I will try to prove my coding skills to others, which is good. But then it should not be up to that level where you try to win in the situation always at any cost. And if you don't win, then all of a sudden you just take a backstage, and then you are just start doubting your abilities, and that is where there is a inner negative monologue started hitting us. So what typically happens is, when in the fixed mindset, you tend to if you don't get the desired output, then you try to think about your abilities, that hey, am I really capable of this? Am I good about it? Or somebody else is definitely better than me. So and then you try to pick up some shortcuts, that hey, why I'm better than why that person is better than me, because I did not get this kind of opportunity. So you try to compare yourself. You tend to compare yourself with others in the fixed mindset, and that is going to be very harmful if you have that kind of a mindset. And that is where you need to have a growth mindset. I'll narrate a story over here before going to the growth mindset. And it happened with me also. So I remember this was a pre-pandemic incident that took place, where all these collaborative platforms like Zoom, Teams, they were, in fact I don't know when Zoom were existed that time. We used to use Skype to collaborate digitally with our colleagues. So this was one Friday evening where I had to present the new campaign plan that I had created along with my team to my business unit leader. Because he was very busy, he was traveling. He said, let's do it on the call, and then you present. So, and this was like a Friday evening, like 7 or 8 o'clock, which was like a last call. And then I said, okay, this is the one, and then I'm just going to relax for the next 2 days. What happened in that call? The call went well. Towards the end, when I was at the last slide, all of a sudden my business unit head said, behave yourself. And I was like, I was zapped. I said, he never said something like this to me in any of my previous conversation. What had happened to him? So I just finished that. Somehow I just finished my call. The call got ended, and then I just started thinking this, and that why did he say that? He did not like my plan, what I presented, or he did not like me, or why? Or am I not capable enough to lead this campaign? And that is what he's thinking, and that's why perhaps he just said behave yourself. I was really shocked, and then that entire evening or entire night got ruined. I had nice plans on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, but I told my wife, let's not go out. I'm not in a good mood. I just did my mundane activities and all, and I completely went into the shell. But the good thing is that I discussed this with my wife. So on Sunday, evening, when we were having dinner, she said, I think you are visibly upset. I think something is wrong. You are not natural. Your natural mood. So I said, yeah, right? I told you this is what happened, and it is still playing at the back of my mind. So she said, see, anyways, you are going to meet him, your business leader, on Monday. Why don't you just have some courage, go to him, and just ask him this question very politely. I said, okay, I think let me just do that. So on Monday, afternoon, I got a slot. I just picked up the slot for 15 minutes. I just went to him, and I just asked him that, hey Sudeep, what's wrong? Sorry, I made that presentation. It seemed that you liked, but then you said behave yourself. So he said, no, don't worry about that. I know how what kind of a hard work that you have taken up in making that presentation. I just wanted you to relax yourself on the weekend, and in a hurry I just said behave yourself. But what that meant is you should just relax, because I like the presentation. And I really know what sort of benefits that we are going to get out of that campaign. And you can imagine. I was then just got released. So that's what If you look at this is a perfect example of the fixed mindset, and as well as a growth mindset. So for those last 2 days, I was completely into that fixed mindset, doubting my abilities, and asking a lot of these negative questions to myself. But then I gathered some courage, came out of it, asked that question, and then it turned out to be a good one. In fact, we implemented that campaign, and we got the whatever the benchmark that we had, we actually exceeded that. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. If you have a very fixed mindset, if you try to doubt your abilities, you try to have all these negative inner monologue, then it will lead to the depression. I mean, and we have heard about the stories of some of the celebrities talking about the depression. In fact, about Virat Kohli, right? I mean, he was blamed for not making century for 3 years, and then all of a sudden he came out of his shell, and how he performed, all of us know about it. Because he has that, or not he, but these guys, who come out of these failures, they always have this growth mindset. Growth mindset is all about development, where you first admit, you become a vulnerable. This is very important word. You become vulnerable, you accept that I have these limitations. First you accept, and then you find out the way to come out of that, and that is very important. We are hearing these stories about this layoff, which is very very unfortunate incidences. But is it because those guys who are really not good at it? No, I mean, they are definitely good. What they have been doing. It is just because of the market situation that they are not able to, they got fired. I mean, it's really unfortunate situation. But then, you need to have a growth mindset. You need to analyze the situation. You should, if you are a player, then, you need to have that practice attitude. I mean, the proverb, practice makes you perfect. I would like to put this as a practice makes you progress if you have a growth mindset. And that is what, something that you need to have. The another trait, I talked about the failure. So another trait that we need to have as a techie is essentially, don't have the fear of failure. And especially, if you work in a product world, you will figure this out. If you are making a product, no product is a perfect. I mean, whatever the e-commerce platforms that we have been using, nothing is perfect. They have worked so many years to make it perfect, and again, it is still not perfect. I mean, because there is no thing called perfect. You always try to improve yourself, right? But to reach to that, I mean, to reach from MVP, which is a minimal viable product, to reach even to that level, you first need to fail, because you need to know, what has gone wrong into it. And unless and until you don't fail, how are you going to improve? So please remove all the fear of failure from yourself. It's absolutely fine to fear. I mean, absolutely fine to fail, but it is always important what you do after the failure. And again, I would like to just narrate one incident. I don't know how many of you know Vinod Kamble, because I'm 90s kid, so I've associated myself with that generation of cricketers. So Vinod Kamble was another prodigy, just like a great Sachin Tendulkar. I mean, they had made I think world record of partnership for some third wicket when they were in school. And just like Sachin, Vinod had also made his debut with a bang in the and he was one of the very good batsmen in the middle order. But if you look at his career graph versus Sachin, I mean, again, I don't want to compare it here, but he made early exit. Why? I mean, obviously, he had certain personality traits. I don't want to talk about that. But the entire thing is, if you look at, he had made 2 double centuries when he had made his test debuts. I mean, back-to-back double centuries. So he was very able person, very able cricketer. But what happened is then, there was a West Indies tour where the great Cutley Ambrose and Courtney Walsh, the great bowlers, they actually exposed Kamble's techniques like anything. They just bombarded him with a very high-speed bouncers, and Kamble was never, had faced that kind of a pace, that kind of a bouncers. In fact, he had never failed earlier in his life. Entire life he's never failed. He always succeeded. But that incident, actually what happened is, he was first time, he got exposed to that kind of a speed, and he really didn't know what to do after that. And very unfortunate guy, he did not have the kind of a guidance that he should have received from others or from senior players. But since he was never exposed to failure, and this happened to him, he was clueless. And what costed him? It costed him the entire career. I mean, he was just out of the test squad of Indian cricket team. Although he was very able and had a nice technique apart from handling these bouncers. So had he failed earlier in his life, he could have definitely bounce back. And that's why I'm telling you that it's okay to fail early, and fail fast, but don't carry any baggages about your failure. In fact, I also want to put myself over here that when I completed my MBA, as we were just talking about that, I had 10 rejections in my first 10 interviews, and sometimes there were genuine reasons. Sometimes they just said that you were best, but we selected our best. That kind of answers that I received. And believe me, that time I never heard about all these philosophies and all. Even I was also very shocked. I started doubting my abilities, but somehow I got a job, and then here I am to talk in front of you. So what I'm trying to tell you is, don't even have fear of failure. It is okay to fail. It is okay to be imperfect, because that is how you try to improve yourself. But it is always important what you do after your failure. So just remember that you need to bounce it back with your growth mindset, and then try to develop the new skills, try to upskills yourself. So that sort of things that you need to have. The last thing which I want to talk about is empathy. And as a techie, definitely you need to have empathy. Let's understand this term. Because many a times people tend to confuse between sympathy and empathy. So sympathy is something when you tend to show pity to the person who is not doing good, or whatever, he or she is going through a very bad phase, and that person has come to you saying that, hey, you know what, this is what has happened to me. So then you become very sympathetic. You say, oh, you know what, same thing has happened to me, and this is what I did, and all those things. So instead of listening to him or her, you try to put yourself into that situation, and you make that situation out of that situation out of yourself. So you say that this is what happened to me. So importance is given to you than the person who is listening, who wants you to listen to him or her. And what happens is, then you create the difference between that person and yourself, right? There is no trust that gets established. That person, the poor guy, has come to you because he or she thinks that you will console him, you will try to make him good. What he needs actually is just the listening ear. That's what you need to do, and that is what empathy is all about. Empathy is nothing but just listen to the person. Just listen to the person, what he or she is saying. Try to understand. So empathy is all about understanding what that person is going through, but not making that situation out of you. You are still saying that, okay, this situation is yours, and I empathize with you, and then suggest something through which that person can come out with. But the biggest thing is all about listening. Now why empathy is important? Because obviously, as I mentioned earlier, when you work in a corporate world, you need to work in a collaborative manner. You are going to work in a cross-functional team, and that is where it is all about team, that who's going to perform, and that is where all these things are very important. How you empathize with your team member, how you empathize with your colleague. Those things matter a lot, because that is how you stand with each other. If somebody is not making a progress, then perhaps you can stand and then do on his or her behalf. I'm not saying it is always needs to be done, but as a team you can work work. The second most important thing is, if you are developing any product or a solution, you always need to think with the user or a client perspective, that why user is using this particular product, or why client is buying this particular product. If you put your agenda first, that hey, I'm a techie, I have developed this is a great product, I don't know about this, but this is a great product, this is a great feature. But if this feature is great, but if the user is not using it, then there is no use of it, right? So that is where the empathy plays is a very great role into this, because you need to empathize with users, with your clients, and then you need to look at it. Because when you empathize with your user or a client, then your users or client will they will try to associate with you, they will try to open up with you, because there is a trust that gets built. Building trust is very important, because once the trust is getting built, then people try to reveal some of these things which you would have not got it otherwise. So, and then that will help you to develop whatever product or whatever solution, platform or code that you are developing. that will happen. That will start with the empathy and the listening skills. So I think these are some some of the traits that you guys need to have if you want to really make your career into the technology. I mean, these are some of my whatever tidbits that I have learned. I mean, there are other things also, but with the interest of time, I think we are also on the top of the hour. So I would like to talk about these things. So I'll just reiterate. So first thing is try to have the business acumen. Second thing is learnability. You need to have a lifelong learnability. Third thing is have a growth mindset. The fourth thing is remove the fear of failure. And the fifth thing is have empathy. So with this, I would like to conclude my talk. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Amazing. So let's give him a big round of applause.